watching Fulhamish. This is Full-Time, live from the Old Suffolk Punch. I'm here with Drew Heatley.
Hello.
And Dara Curran.
Aye, aye.
And we're looking back on Fulham's 3-0 victory over Derby. Fairly easy, wasn't it, Drew?
It's nice to have a routine win. It certainly is nice to get 3 runs on the bounce. I was full of beans at half-time after what was quite an entertaining and comfortable first half. Maybe entertaining is the wrong word, but it was a very comfortable first half, and it all just sort of fizzled out towards the end, but overall you can't complain.
Yeah, I thought it was, again, a very simple victory. This Derby team, they're very weird, as in sort of like, they've been really good at home. I think maybe it's 4 wins on the bounce at Pride Park now, but away from home, they're terrible. We did see that today. I didn't really see them offering much, especially in the first half. For me, from the first sort of 10, 15 minutes, I don't know the same with you, though. Obviously, we got the early goal, but you could tell they weren't really going to offer anything.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I watched the game against Preston where they beat them during the at the weekend, and they really pressed them, and Preston had a high line, and they caused them a lot of trouble. And they just didn't do that tonight. They didn't press us. They didn't do anything. Like, and 2-0 up, and we were coasting, and I thought the game was done by half-time, basically. So. Yeah,
especially as we got that second goal, I thought that was key. If we didn't get that goal for half-time, we know what we're like with 1-0 leads. So, but I think that second goal was so crucial, especially the time it came as well. Obviously, we'll go back, we'll talk about the first goal. How good was it to see Bobby Reid get his first goal from the club?
So pleased to see Bobby Reid get that goal. You could see how much it means to him as well, and also how surprised in the way it happened. Kudos to Kamara for that ball in. He's having such a renaissance in the last week. It's might be the tail of his season. But yeah, it was great to see Bobby Reid get on the end of it. He didn't know much about it, but sometimes when you're in a drought like that, you just want something that'll come off your arse and you're happy with it. And pretty much what happened to him.
Yeah, he pretty much just got in the way of the ball, it hit him and went in. But Kamara, we stick on that point. He has had a big renaissance, and for me, I said it actually in the pub before the QPR. I think I mentioned it on the last Full-Time that he was probably going to score before Bobby Reid this season. I think that in the Championship, he's really got something to offer us, because as much as people will criticise him, he played that semi-final second leg against Derby, and he played in the final. I mean, 2 of the most important games in our history, let alone that season. So I think that Kamara's definitely got a part to play this season, but I thought, everyone said, it was because, Mitchell wasn't playing, so we relied on him to score the goals. But I think just his all-round play in the last 2 games has been brilliant.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty quality tonight, especially in the first half. His hold-up play, he was doing little flicks, taking on defenders. Again, he was there in those semi-final and the final. So obviously the managers see some faith in him. There's something there. I'd have him in ahead of Knockaert, so it's unfortunate that he went off with the injury. Hopefully that's not too bad, but he looked lively tonight. I'd like to see balls being whipped into the box a little bit more, and maybe players taking on a shot. Apart from that, he was quality.
Yeah, before we get on to obviously when Knockaert came on, and a lot of people criticised the performance, including myself, but I thought, looking at the lineup when it first came out, you had no real holding midfielder playing. Did you see that as a worry going into the game, or you thought Johansson, because he wouldn't be playing that box-to-box role, would actually be able to be capable to play that role perfectly fine?
I think against teams like Derby, and they were very Millwall-esque in the way that they just weren't really pressing us to do anything. I think you can get away with it on a day like today. Like I was saying to my brother during the game, the connective tissue, as it were, between defence and attack is paper thin on a day like today, but you can get away with it. I don't think you can always do that, but I think tonight it was fine. We had 4 players, up top towards the end, and it's just the way it kind of worked. But against teams like Derby, you get away with it. I don't know. Against teams like Leeds, perhaps not.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, obviously we've got 3 wins back to back now against obviously Birmingham, QPR and Derby. 2 teams who I wouldn't expect to be pushing for the top 6, but you always looked at these 3 games because they lead into a really tough Christmas period for us, where it was all about getting the results. Not really about performances for me, just getting the results in. We got 3 wins out of 3. Now we move on to Swansea, we move on to the likes of Preston, Leeds, Bristol City, Brentford, all before Christmas. And again, I think out of the 3 games, you'd argue that today was the most convincing result?
Yeah, absolutely. Even before the QPR game, this is our toughest run of 6 fixtures on paper, apparently. And the easiest 6 had come just before that, and we had struggled. And we'd seen that in the promotion push in the last couple of seasons, that we'd struggled against some of the teams who were weaker teams on paper, but who set up and really just didn't want to play us. So the teams that do want to kind of have a go, we've been able to turn them over easy enough, and it turned out that was the case today. Again, I I know you say with the 4 up front or whatever today, you can't get away with that, I reckon, against like a Leeds or maybe a Swansea coming up in the next couple of games. We'll have to see, but yeah, it was pretty routine today.
Yeah, going back to the game, I mean, it was just nice to see a score from a set piece.
Yeah, well, I was saying before we recorded, I always remember the Martin Jetu goal against Leeds at Loftus Road years ago, and it's like, that's how rare scoring from a corner is for a Fulham fan. So, yeah, we talk about it being maybe the first since a draw against Derby in the playoff semis, but I'm not sure that's true, but we'd have to look it up. But they're few and far between. It's bloody lovely to see. And it was a routine corner, routine header from Mitro, just really pleasing on the eye, if anything.
Yeah, it was as I said, it was good to see us going into a half-time sort of in the ascendancy. How many times have we either just got back into the game, maybe like QPR in the first half, which arguably we could have been 2 or 3-1 down in that half, or there's a lot of times we maybe concede just for half-time, or we're only 1-0 in the lead. So for me, it was nice. It was a weird feeling going into half-time, just feeling comfortable with what the result was.
Absolutely. We haven't been there too many times this season, like behind against Nottingham Forest. Maybe what was the Sheffield Wednesday we were 1-0 up. Maybe that was one of the ones that I can think off the top of my head, and it ended up that we just...
But we know, being Fulham and the way our defence is, that the amount of times that we know a 1-0 lead isn't safe.
Yeah,
we know arguably a 2-0 lead is not safe because they get 1 goal back, you're like, oh hell. But I was really just happy with today's performance. It was just solid all round. As I said, in the 3-game run, it's probably been the best 3 so far. But if we move into the second half now, in an injury to, a knock to Boubacar Kamara, which forced him to come off. For me, I think we looked worse as soon as he went off the pitch.
Yeah, I think we did, and I think as well that comfort level at half-time almost sort of killed the game in the second half because we were so comfortable. Derby were offering absolutely nothing, and then obviously you get that knock to Abu, and and then later to Bobby Reid, where both of our goal scorers at the time have gone off. It kind of takes a shine off it, and it certainly made us. It made us a lot blunter when Abu went off, and it just sort of perpetuated that sort of lacklustre second half feeling that there was once we went in so comfortable and had nothing sort of offered against us. So yeah, it was just served to make it a bit more of a slower second half.
Because obviously Anthony Knockout comes on for him. I thought he was poor today. I think he's been poor for a while now.
Just today?
Yeah, no, I think he's been poor for quite a while now, and I don't know if that's down to complacency. Is he getting pushed enough? Does he suit? Is he the kind of player we need out wide in this system? There's a lot of factors here. For me, I just think he's trying to do too much himself.
Yeah, I think he's trying too hard. I can't fault his effort levels, but the end product just seems to be lacking. I think he's got 2 goals now, so same as Kamara, and maybe 2 or 3 assists for the season. And he's pretty much played every single game. So for someone that's playing in a front 3, I think he needs to up his game big time, because if Kamara's only out for maybe a game, maybe he's back next week or whatever. He really needs to up his game.
I think we need to all load up Twitter and tweet Guy Barlow an apology, because when he said that Knockout was a passion merchant, he didn't mean that all he had was, blood, thunder and gusto and badge tapping. What he meant is that he is so sort of, he tries to take the world on his shoulders and try and do it all himself. And that's what we've seen this season. And to do that, he's missing out on so many of the sort of the basics. He's not doing the basics right. So I think, I think Guy was bang on, and I think we're seeing that already with Knockout. He gets that frustration because he is trying to do too much on his own, and he's missing what's right in front of his face. So he's had a really poor sort of first third of the season. There's 2/3 to go. He can still pull it back, but at the moment he needs to take a step back, and he needs to look at what he contributes to the team as a whole with a bit more of a perspective. And I think once he does that, he can start fixing the minutiae of his game and start doing a bit more and contributing a bit more.
That being said, on the pitch he might not be producing it, but I've seen bits and pieces. Remember Sessegnon against Forest, he made the mistake. He was the first guy over to Sessegnon to put an arm around his shoulder. Bobby Reid was down injured tonight. He was the first guy over to him on the floor. So he's one of those guys I think we need around the dressing room, but he still needs to step up on the pitch and make it count.
So obviously there's 3 ones on about to Fulham now. Against Birmingham, against QPR, against Derby. We're now getting to a really tough run of fixtures. We're playing all these teams. We're playing the likes of obviously Swansea, Preston, Bristol City, Brentford, Leeds, all before Christmas. Is it about staying unbeaten? Is it about keeping this run going? Or is it just making sure, let's say Leeds are in second now, obviously got last minute win against Reading. Is it just about staying within touching distance of them?
I think it's about staying in touch and distance. It doesn't matter whether we stay unbeaten or not, it's about what the teams around us do. And as long as we're in touch, I think we're going to be okay. We had the 5 run of games before the last international break where everybody was saying we needed 15 points or whatnot. And we had a particularly poor run and sort of floated around 11th and 12th. And it shows how quickly you can move up and down the league at the moment because, as we keep saying, nobody wants to take the league by the scruff of the neck and run with it. So I'm fully confident that we'll be in touch with Leeds by the time we play them. But that doesn't necessarily mean staying unbeaten.
Yeah, I think for us it's just being within touch and distance of second or within first. You know, it's not about preserving a run because then you often get things. Gone a bit of a tangent here, but the unbeaten Arsenal in 03-04, which I think is one of the most overrated Premier League sides of all time, because they were scared to lose as opposed to trying to win games. How many Premier League teams have we seen who've beaten their points record? So I think, as Drew said, it is just about being within touch and distance of the top 2, whether that involves losing games along the way.
Yeah, I don't mind if we lose the odd one here and there. I'm expecting it, fully expecting it, as long as we're just thereabouts come Christmas time or whatever. I mean, like, look, who's playing? West Brom and Bristol are going to be playing tomorrow. There's teams that everyone's going to be playing each other, so they're going to take points off each other. So as long as we're thereabouts, should be in good shape.
This has been Full Time. We've been Fulhamish. This is the Old Suffolk Punch. Remember, here after every home game, recording these full times for you. So if you want to come and drink, come and say hello. Thanks very much to Drew Heatley.
Thank you.
Dara Curran.
Cheers.
We'll see you guys next time.